All right. So, hello Steve.
Hi Julia.
How are you doing today?
I am well, thank you. Yourself?
Really good. Yep, excited to be recording this podcast with you. We've been planning it for a while, so
Finally got there.
finally found the time to be sitting down and having a chat together.
In the busy product management world, yeah.
Yes, yeah, very busy lives that we lead. This is going to be a great opportunity for us to chat product manager to product manager about some of our shared experiences, shared challenges, but obviously how things look quite different in our agency world and our brand side world. Obviously you're product managing at Channel 4. Did you want to give an intro to?
Yeah, so I'm Steve. I work in product management at Channel 4, as you know very well. I've been there for over 2 years and also was at Channel 5 beforehand working on TV apps, so I've had a good amount of experience of doing product on TV apps, and it's a very complex world. That's why we're here today to talk about it, and really excited to explore more from the agency side and the brand side and talk about examples and challenges that could be useful for people to know. So yeah, just excited to talk to you today.
How long were you at Channel 5 for?
Just over a year as well. It was my first real step into TV app product management, which was quite an eye-opener to say the least. Compared to, for example, doing product management on a website or a mobile app, the TV world was a whole new thing for me and was much more complex than I ever envisioned it would be. So it was quite a challenge, but it was a really, really exciting challenge that I really, really enjoy. And now I can't imagine not doing product management on TV apps. Very excited to come and speak more about it today.
Yeah, it's such an interesting world. I came from a background in actual livestock traceability, so couldn't have been further from connected TV. But that was, gave me that introduction to what product management could be. I spent a lot of time working with users of our system and talking with people on a daily basis, then moving into analysis, working with business analysts to improve the system, moved even into program management. So I was with that one company for a really long time, and there was a time where I couldn't see myself doing anything different. But when I moved over to London, I was looking for work, and I came across FX Digital, and I thought, this is such a cool thing to be working in. Working in connected TV, it brings everything I love from product management side to, I love watching TV. Who doesn't love watching TV? So we get to make these really cool experiences for people. What I also loved was the agency approach to it. So there's opportunities to go brand side, but product management's really hard to get into, especially if you've not held the title before. And a lot of people I spoke to, while I was looking for work, were telling me just get into a company that's going to give you the opportunity to move through into your to get that sort of product management experience, and then next minute you're leading the teams. It was really interesting company to me, being able to work in an agency, because you get that opportunity to work with lots of brands such as yourself, and every single client I've worked with now, I've had an opportunity to learn from them. Sitting here with you today, I'm sure there's a lot you can just teach me in the next sort of 45 minutes or however long we're going to be talking for. So, so agency side, brand side, there's probably a lot we can share with each other.
So how long have you been at FX Digital for now?
Now 3.5 years, so started working in the project team, but with that sort of product owner approach to how we manage our projects, and then now have had an opportunity to lead the product team. So I'm growing a team of product managers. We've just made our first hire in our Barcelona office.
Congratulations.
Thank you, yeah. So I went over there last week to talk with her, which was and train her and bring her on board. So it's been great to be able to grow a team and look for the skill set that we need in product management. I'm interested to know what the client side or brand side in-house product team looks like at Channel 4, because obviously I haven't had experience working on that sort of side of it. So
yeah, well, I've had very different experiences from specifically when it comes to the public service broadcaster side. Like at Channel 5, it was a really small product team. It was literally like 3 of us, one doing TV, one doing mobile, one doing website, and that was it. And we had no UX support. We had to go to because they're owned by Paramount, so we had to go to Paramount to get like UX design or do any research, for example. So it was really tough to like get things done, and you didn't have business analysts. Like you had to like write all requirements yourself. So like every product company I've been in has been taking it completely differently. So previously I had business analysts before when I worked for Thomson Reuters. Didn't have it for Channel 5, so go right back into like getting muck in and like doing it all yourself. And then at Channel 4, when I joined a couple of years ago, like it was back to that point of having business analysts, having a lot of like program project support, and so product could focus on what you need to build and like deciding what you need to build and doing all that kind of stuff. So products at Channel 4, we've got, if you include the design team, we've got dedicated designers, which is really important, really key. We've got about 15 in the team. But then if I talk to people from ITV or people from BBC, the difference is still massive. For like them, it's like much larger scale. So it makes you realize how hard it is, or how much enjoyment you get out of the existing role, because I get like a scope to do lots of things, like because there's not many of us. Whereas I think in other kind of like products in the TV app world, like you get very focused on one particular thing. And even if you compare us to like the likes of Netflix and like Disney Plus, like the scale and the size of those is so vast, it's like hard to comprehend like how big it is. But at Channel 4, I think it's a really good level team of like understanding the product like throughout, rather than being specific to one thing. And that's why I think it's really enjoyable to work there. And obviously we have product managers that are either dedicated to certain platforms like myself, or they're ones that do cross-platform things, like looking after personalisation, for example, or metadata across the platform. So it's a mixture of product people in there. And the same with the designers, they're like focused around one platform or cross-platform. So it's good to have that mixture of people in there, so when you go and do big projects, you have that experience there as well. So it's really good. But I've never actually worked for an agency, so I was really interested to find out like how product works in an agency. That's why I thought it'd be good to talk about that. So if you could maybe run me through like how product, I guess, works in an agency and see how it compares to like what the world is for us.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting what you say, like you have dedicated specialties in the products that you're managing, or a specific platform or a part of that product. So different for us, our specialty is connected TV, but you're sort of both a specialist and a generalist at the same time. I think a really interesting thing about product management in an agency is we don't have a product to manage. So how do you own something without direct ownership? And the way that I look at it is it's our job to own the product process, the process of product thinking. So while we can't, directly manage a roadmap, we can influence it. We can support our clients to make strategic decisions. So it's important to me when I'm hiring to look for people who have, well-rounded experience. I've built a team of people with backgrounds in project management and people with backgrounds in business analysis, and also product management as well. So being able to share those skills together and learn from each other is really key. I need a team who we can run a workshop, we can be thinking strategically, we can be supporting our client to think about what devices they're going to launch in 6 months and in the future, understanding their system and the complex system that they work in, but then step out of that meeting and sit down at their computer and write detailed acceptance criteria. So it's the ability to sort of flex that skill set across product management, business analysis, product ownership is something that's really important for agency PMs, I think. Have you worked with agency in the projects that you're delivering?
Yes, we have, both at Channel 5 and Channel 4, but only from like a technical perspective. So like, delivering the front end like work, technical capabilities of the app. So I've never worked with product managers from an agency, if that makes sense. That's why I was quite interested to find out more about it. We've worked with developers and testers and architects, etc., from the technical perspective to work on building the enhancements out and doing things to the app. But not from the product level, which is really interesting. And
Yeah.
Like I said before about the way it works at Channel 4 and still having those delivery teams that can focus on like writing acceptance criteria, like you said, etc. It really gives us a chance as product people to take that step back and do what you were talking about, like go and speak to the relevant stakeholders. There are a multitude of stakeholders that we all know when we're being product, and make sure that what you're building is the right thing. And we're getting to a point now where we're in a good position of working out exactly what people are asking us to do, and then being able to go through a process in which we can forecast what the benefits are. So whether it's user engagement, or whether it's revenue, or whether it's strategic from a public service perspective, we have to do certain things. Like, for example, recently we're adding subtitles on ads for our content, and that's something that we want to do as like a public service broadcaster, so we can show that we care about accessibility and we want to keep progressing on it. So it's an example of a few different things that we have to take in consideration when we're forecasting stuff. But then we have to bring it all together and showcase the stakeholders, like, this is the reason why we are picking these three things, and it's obviously going to align back to our more business strategic thing of what we're trying to do for that particular year or whatever it is. So it's definitely something that we have developed and improved on over the past year or so. And that's part of it that I really enjoy, is being able to go and work out exactly what the value is of all these enhancements, and go and do some user research, or go and do some forecasting with the data team, and just trying to work out what the best thing is, and then going back and showcasing, like, we all came up with these ideas, but these are the ones that, like, it might even be commercial considerations. It's something that I really enjoy as a Channel 4 product manager, is that we also have a really close relationship with our distribution and partnerships teams, so the ones that manage our relations with the likes of Amazon and Samsung, etc. And getting involved in those conversations is really interesting, to kind of find out what their asks are, because there was always ask from the platforms about things they want us to do, like integrating with them. So it's always interesting trying to work out that, and then bring those to the table and forecast them and work those out, and then deliver that back to those platforms as well. So it's a complex world, but it's really enjoyable doing that kind of level of product, more strategic kind of points. Which is really good. I don't know, like, if that touches on anything that you guys do, like here around you said talk about processes, etc. Do you want to talk a bit more about like what those processes might be?
Yeah, I think where you guys are able to do a lot more of the sort of thinking about the value of things and the structure of the roadmap, and understanding where all of your different requirements are coming in from your users and from the platforms that you're supporting. I see it's our job to do the thinking about how we're actually going to make that work, how we're going to make it happen. So, like, something that seems as simple as getting the subtitles on ads. Our teams are looking at the different solutions or the options that are available to you to build out that feature. So. We do a lot more of the sort of technical discovery, which gives you, on Baron's side, the ability to spend more time in that strategic space. But I think it's really important for us as well to have an understanding of what that strategy is, because we need to be able to support you to make decisions. Or if you've got a range of devices that are out there in the market, and you're asking for a feature that is risky on certain devices, we need to be able to flag that and identify that and plan that back into the delivery plans, so that we can say, let's proof of concept this straight away. Before we sort of commit to anything or start making promises, let's get this and start testing it and know how long it's going to take to build. You'd expect that video players they just work on a TV, right?
We would all hope.
We would all hope that this is the core to the experience, the video player. But the first thing we do with any new client engagement is we do a proof of concept of the chosen video player. So usually we're using something like a Bitmovin player, which works well. You've got the good native SDKs and things to use. But we will always run a proof of concept. We had a client that we were working with, a sports broadcaster, and we're working with them. They're called Dyn, they're a German company, and we partnered with Delta Tray as well to deliver the application. So Delta Tray were in charge of the the back end. They also provide the CMS and also the Diva video player. And they were building up the web and mobile as well, whereas we were focused on the connected TV applications. And one of the core platforms that they were releasing on was Sky. But the Diva player hadn't yet been tested on Sky. So the first thing we did for that project was to get the newest version of Diva and start running it on Sky. We spent a lot of time sort of working with Delta Tray, triaging, making it really performant. And so I think where we, as the agency, can provide a lot of support there is we take away a lot of that sort of time that gets spent with the discussions and the triaging and making things work on the devices. You can, as I said, spend more time thinking about what's next. So,
But it's really interesting you mentioned that, because it's something that, when I go back to that point about forecasting, it's something we have to take into consideration, and I have to keep communicating that out to the wider business who just don't understand the detail. But you can say, like, you want to get an enhancement out on everywhere you are, every platform, whether it's TV, mobile, website, etc. But when it comes to TV, you have to layer that with, like, that's great, but we can maybe only get it out on like 60 to 70% of the devices because old TVs or old set boxes just can't take it, can't do it. And so, for example, like Restart on Watch Live, something that is kind of like a expected feature now across like the industry, is you're supposed to have live streams in the app, you get Restart so people can restart from the beginning. But that just being able to bring that to the table and get that across the line, you have to get it past a certain number of devices for it to bring the real value out, apart from it just being real user value. And so we have to pick like which ones we can get them out on to bring the most value out. So there are certain devices that we don't have that feature on because there's just not enough value to it for us to do it. And ideally we would, and there needs to be a time in which we can hopefully get the resource to be able to do it. But at the moment, we focus on the most impactful ones that give us the most like value back from doing that feature. So it's just a really good example of like, if I wasn't in the TV world, I'd be like, well, why is that not on this, but it's on my phone? Like, what's going on? But I understand the detail now and the complexity of like the technology on the different TVs or the different set-top boxes or the games consoles, whatever it is, and how it's not as simple as that. Like, it does take a lot of understanding to be like, it's probably not going to work on that. Like, have we taken that into account, like in regards to how we're forecasting that it's not going to deliver as much value as we might have originally have thought? But that is something that I need to consistently like communicate to stakeholders across the business, that we need to take that into account. We need to go to technology, understand exactly what we can do with it. So it's interesting, like you talk about the MVP of like how you, or MCP, whatever it is, to get it out onto like the specific platforms, etc. So yeah, it's a challenging one to say the least.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing about MVP. It looks so different in connected TV world. So I guess for people who have worked in product management, you think about MVP as this like minimum viability. It's like, how can we get like a really lean product into the market? But connected TV is so different because people expect a baseline level of features. So especially when you're looking at the innovation that's happening in things like live sports, the ability to engage with more data, and not just sort of sit back in the lean back experience, but whether that be second screen experiences or using the remote to engage with additional features. You see a lot of like timeline, being able to see when a goal happened, those sorts of things. So all of these features are coming to be expected. So if you're bringing a new product to market, it's really difficult to think lean as MVP. And so what we often talk about with our clients is we're trying to build your MLP, and that's quite a common term heard as well, the minimum lovable product.
Yep.
So it's something that you are happy for your users to experience from launch. But yeah, beyond that, you mentioned MCP. So AI, AI has taken over this acronym. I don't know what it means in the AI world. I haven't explored that, but this is something I was talking about. So you think about connected TV needing to be launched on a range of different platforms. So we've got some platforms, they have really good, it's really easy to get something into the portal. It's a natively built platform. You're often using native SDKs. the likelihood of it passing certification first time and a week later you've got something ready to launch is quite high. Other platforms take weeks of testing. They have quite manual testing practices, and so what we're often trying to do is we're building what we call the minimum certifiable product, which is something we can get into their testing portal, start the testing process, start the conversations, any conversations that need to be had around like building partnerships, especially if it's a brand new product. So then we can keep building and iterating and building out new features, but we've got something that's certifiable and meets all of the requirements of the platform. So it's not always needed, but when we're working with our clients at kickoff and trying to create a delivery plan, that's something we're considering. Do we need to be thinking about a minimum certifiable product here as our first releasable version? It's never going to, users are never going to see it, but yeah, it's something we can at least get certified. Yeah.
Yeah, the device support point is something that, as a public service broadcaster, we have to have the application out on as many platforms as possible, so we can't just say like we're just going to close down Samsung or close down whoever it is.
Yeah.
We have to be on as many as we possibly can, and being able to basically adhere to that, like especially when you get to certain like older devices or older platforms, it's really hard to be able to make a decision about when you have to come off it, because it's costing too much money, it's not really delivering any value, and it's just really complex. And there are plenty of examples of that in which we've had to like really review like the platform and whether we can support it. And I understand obviously from a user perspective that's not ideal if you're using something and then suddenly it just the app just disappears.
Yeah.
It's not, but it's really hard from a business perspective to. So for example, like on Samsung, we recently sunsetted on Orso devices, which is like the older TVs from like 2014 and beforehand. And that took a lot of review internally to make sure that we were doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And the costing of it, the complexity, the fact we couldn't release it anymore because it was just so problematic, and obviously the amount of users we saw on it were in massive decline. And I had lots of conversations with Samsung to understand whether like they agreed that it was the right approach. And so there was a lot of conversations and a lot of things we had to go through as a public service broadcaster to be like, okay, it's okay to shut that down like now. We have to deal with that with our customers and consumers that can't access it anymore. This is one example of the kind of considerations we have to have like every year quite consistently about like, is this now still giving us as much value as it can do? And it's just something that is another constant challenge for us as like Channel 4. Like I'm sure the other BBC and ITV have the exact same challenges as us.
Yeah, we spend a lot of time, or we can spend a lot of time testing something or getting something working on a platform that just doesn't have that value. So you really have to be very critical about where you spend your time. It's a really important thing to be considering when you're building up roadmaps as well. But yeah, you can't take that lightly. I've also heard about some platforms who it's cheaper for them to just buy everyone a cheap Fire Stick than to keep supporting that old device that they've got a handful of users, dedicated users, but a handful of users nonetheless. Yeah. Yeah,
we had someone at Channel 5 I used to work with had that exact idea and tried to get it up to like board level to get approval to send all these users Fire Sticks so they could just come off the really old devices. Don't think it ever got approved, but it was definitely an idea. Yeah. So I guess from more like a product focus as opposed to talking more about TV app stuff, it's more about understanding the differences we may have or similarities potentially between the way that our product teams work. I know that you said that you guys at FX kind of like do like the Three Amigos kind of like landscape. Do you want to talk a bit more about that? Yeah, well, to be honest, we, as much as possible, try to embed a singular product process, but it's more like a Lego brick, which we have this approach with our development as well. It's like Lego brick assembly. So we're building bespoke applications. We're working with different clients. We're building everything, from the ground up. Everything's got a different back end. New features, so our teams need to be able to work quickly while still building bespoke applications. So it's similar for our product process, right? There's not really a one-size-fits-all approach to product. We have to fit in with how our clients work as well. We follow Agile. Scrum, it's like a Scrum band, I guess you could call it. Yep. It's really delivery focused. So
our product people really wear that product owner hat in the team. So we're managing the backlog day to day. We're building out the user stories, but it's really important that we, like you say, working with in a Three Amigos way, that we get the input of our QA team and our development team as well in writing out those stories. And that actually is great because our teams all have CTV experience in different platforms. So, we might be working on a new client project with new platforms that our product managers are, working for the first time in that platform, and part of that process is really upskilling in that platform as well. But we're working with developers who have already worked in that platform, so we're learning from them as well at the same time and building up that expertise. Because as we already have touched on, it's such a fragmented landscape. You can't expect to come in to an organisation and know everything there is to know about all of the different platforms. So part of the skill set is being able to quickly upskill yourself.
Yeah, it must be quite a challenge, like having to do product in slightly different ways for slightly different clients. Whereas at Channel 4, we have what I feel is a really strong product team, and we have obviously we very much aware of stuff like Mike Kagan and Teresa Torres and the way that we should be working. And I think because we're currently undergoing a transformation program in streaming, as you guys are aware, that's kind of taking us back to we have to have requirements up front, we have to have designs up front before we can even start talking to the technology teams, which is really not how we want to work. It's not how product teams would really function in the best way. But we have to hopefully take a step back to then in the future, when we have a much more agile platform, we can do a lot more things, and hopefully we can get to that stage where we are working with tech, with design, with QA, all in one room, working through the enhancements we want to make, getting all those people in one room. It's the ways of working that we want to get to. It's just that we're not there at the moment. Hopefully we'll get to it in say a year or two's time. Yeah. So it's really interesting to hear how you have to be slightly different for each different clients. Have you got any particular examples that you might want to share?
Yeah, I suppose one great example of a completely new way of working was, it wasn't a build project, it was a design and product research project that we did, and the outcome of it was to have a new set of designs across connected TV, web and mobile for the whole platform. And it was a multi-month, took up most of the year with research and ideation and working with users, and so it wasn't a traditional process in terms of delivery tickets. We had to work with design tickets because we were building out piece by piece each feature of this application in the design system. So as you say, we had a full set of designs before anybody even looked at it from a development perspective. But it was a really interesting way of working because we brought in that sort of agile process and being able to allocate and define requirements and allocate them to designers to refine. But a really key thing to mention with the way of working was the client was really involved to the point we had these lovely Friday, everyone in the office, we call them hack days. And it was the most beautiful collaboration between client-side, partner-side, because we were able to bring in their designers and their product team.
Actually, they would come into
They would come into our London office, and we would sit around a table together, and our designers would present back what they'd been working on, and the client would give their feedback there in the room. And sometimes we would have these little breakout sessions where we would go away and ideate over a button, then come back and share.
The importance of a button.
Buttons are so important. So that's a really different way of working, and not sort of delivery, but we've worked really closely with the client, which is awesome. Yeah, I'm really interested to know about from brand side. Obviously, Channel 4 has this really unique, almost sort of cheeky brand, really forward-thinking and leading in the brand. So I'm really interested to know how that informs your product decisions and things that you're making for new platforms, new features. How's that influencing?
No, it's a really good point. It's a really interesting thing as well. And the Channel 4 brand is really strong, and it was the main reason I wasn't unhappy at Channel 5, but I left Channel 5 because it was a Channel 4 job, and I felt very aligned to the values of Channel 4, diversity, inclusion, creativity, representing unheard voices. That was the reason why I went to Channel 4, and it is the only place I've worked at where I've actually felt the values are there in the organisation. I can feel it in the people, so it is is representative throughout the organisation, which is always just nice to see. It's not just something on a piece of paper, you can feel it. And it's really important, like, for us to be able to get that out of all of our channels, out of marketing, out of like CRM, out of whatever it is. We need to make sure that our brand is represented, like, and it's loud and proud everywhere. And hopefully that is represented across the people I speak to, like, know it as that. And it's really important for us to try to do that within the like TV application as well and our other platforms. But I think obviously technology kind of dictates like some things you can do, especially on TVs. But I think now we're going through that transformation program. It's the tone of voice and getting that kind of like cheeky side and that like more angle of Channel 4, trying to get it into as many places that make sense within an application. Obviously you still need to be functional, you still need it to do the job it needs to do. But when there are points like if you throw an error message up or something, or if you scroll to the bottom of like the application, which hardly ever happens, but just in case, you want to make it like cheeky and funny, or if someone runs a search but doesn't come any results come back, like get your tone of voice in like as many places as you can. That just gives a little bit more of the brand rather than just a simple like no errors, no results, no whatever it is. So it's really important for us, and like our design team and our editorial teams are working really closely aligned as to like how we can do that across the different points. And obviously we have to do like a bit of user research as well to understand like what are the best touch points to get the brand in, like rather than flooding people with it everywhere. Where's the best places to do it? So it's really important, and everyone really wants it to be there in many places as possible. So there's a lot of teams that feel that. So hopefully we'll get into a place in which we have the right balance of the brand's there, but it's not obstructing the user from doing anything or not annoying them in any way. So it's a fine line, and Channel 4 is a really strong brand, and hopefully we can get that right for the future as well. What about yourself from like an FX digital side?
You made me think about the way we run our sort of discovery workshops and things when we start working with new clients, and why it's so important for us to immerse ourselves in your world, because those little details, and this is why we have a team of product managers, and applying that product management thinking allow us to bring that to our everyday day-to-day decision making when we're building this project for you, this platform for you. So something as simple as an animation or a decision around an animation
can important.
Like, oh, you've gone too far. Well, something's like silly. It's those sorts of things we can bring that value. And so, when we're working with you as the brand, I sort of see it as this like co-pilot relationship where you guys are the ones flying the plane, you've got the roadmap, you're in charge, but we are the co-pilot. We're there helping you define that strategy. We're helping you, plot the best course, the best way to get there, do it in a way that's, saving you time and money, ultimately getting the best thing out for your users, but supporting on, what platforms are we going to be building, how are we going to build this, what's the technology that supports this. So doing a lot of that thinking so that allows you the time to really embrace the brand decisions and the specific features that you need, and listen to your users and work in that way. And I think, speaking about FX's brand and who we are as a company, part of that is the way we work with people, and our brand is about that culture of collaboration and that ability to really listen and immerse ourselves with all of our clients. So we bring that expertise in connected TV, but we have dedicated teams that work within our client projects who immerse themselves in the world and bring that FX culture to the client relationships as well.
Yeah, you've got good vibes in the office, and you've got a dog. So
there's always a dog around, and we're surrounded by TVs. We have an amazing device lab. Every time you walk into the office, you're in it. You're in the TV world. So branding and everything. The future, the scary future, the scary and exciting future.
Where are we going to be in 5 years' time?
Yeah, TV is such an interesting thing when you think about the future, because we're kind of living it at the moment. Like, who would have thought 5 years ago that we would be where we are now with, so many like AI coming out, and how's AI going to fit into TVs? And can I talk to my remote and tell it I'm feeling sad today? Show me a TV show. Yeah, so it's like I don't really know what to expect. Do you have any thoughts about it?
Well, I guess there's a couple of angles I can take it from. One is like the technology perspective about what you mentioned about how AI can integrate either into like our product management process on a day-to-day, or also like how it impacts the actual devices and the TVs, and what improvements that can come with AI. It'd be really interesting to see what kind of stuff comes with that. But then also from the side of, as a public service broadcaster, how we continue to compete against the big guns and the big tech. And there's a lot that we try and do as like a collaboration with BBC, ITV and Channel 5 as part of like Everyone TV and Freely, etc., is to come together and try and collaborate so we can compete at that level and try and make sure we're representing like British voices like in the UK rather than it coming from somewhere else. So it's a constant challenge for us to work out how we do that, and I think there's a number of examples of great partnerships that have happened recently, like ITV and like Disney connecting, and like even in Europe, like Netflix and TF1 coming together, and us recently announcing our partnership with UK TV. So there's a number of examples of how we're trying to come together in great partnerships to help us like battle that and fight that. And it's going to be a constant thing that I think is known across the industry, is like how there's a lot of fragmentation across different like platforms and devices and applications, and it's kind of like hard to work out where in the future that will go. YouTube is now like a huge thing, and how we manage that, like it's people deal with it differently. Like we have For Studio that creates specific bespoke content for YouTube and deal with it in that way, and so we target the audience there. We want to make sure we are, like I said earlier, like on every device, every platform we possibly can as a public service broadcaster, but we need to make sure that we're doing it in the right way, in the right places. And I can understand as a user how hard it is when there's so many different platforms, there's so many different ways in which you can like watch content now. It's really interesting to see like where it could potentially go in the future. See, that's one thing I'm excited to see, like what it could lead to, and hopefully there will be like more like examples of partnerships, etc., where we can fight back.
More partnerships, less competition.
Yeah. It's all about collaborating.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why we're here.
What do you think about the AI technology kind of piece?
Oh, to be honest, I haven't given it as much thought as I probably should have. But I think that the future for me, what I'm noticing is what we're doing a lot more is we're building for the future today as much as possible. So we're doing projects where we're rebuilding with a more modern architecture, a more modern tech stack, so that we can set up applications to be as configurable as possible. So actually you were talking about before the tone of voice and the brand, like you should be able to change that without needing product releases, right? So it's really important that everything that we do in these TV applications is configurable as possible using sort of CMS and configuration, rather than needing to plan and regressions and releases and testing on 50 devices before you even get something out into just to change your error messaging. So so a lot of the projects that we're doing at the moment are taking platforms that were built in the last 10 years or so and modernising them. In terms of the future, the flexibility as well, being able to more easily iterate and test and design. I think one of the biggest challenges we have in TV is our inability to A/B test. It's really difficult, right? Do you have any experience with that? I feel very
passionate about that. Yeah, I feel like from the website angle and the mobile angle, experimentation is something that is very advanced when you compare it to the likes of TV. Like, I come from a background where I have worked on websites and mobile apps, and I'm used to having the ability to go and experiment at scale. Mm-hmm. Whereas when it comes to TVs, it's just a lot harder. And when you don't have the resources of the likes of Netflix, etc., like being able to build your own experimentation systems, it's very, very hard. So it's something that I feel really passionate that there is a space there to innovate, someone to come up with a better way in which we can experiment on TV apps at scale. Mm-hmm. And it's the same with user research as well. Like user research, we have to actually, which is very resource heavy, get people to come into Channel 4 offices and show them prototypes on a screen. Yeah. We can't do that in the same way as you can use certain user research tools, and they can just go on a browser and they can just see it there at massive scale. We have to get people in, like 10 people at a time or something,
Yeah.
take up an hour of everyone's time, and then work it out from there. It's not the same as getting it out to thousands
Actually,
and
yeah.
thousands of people. And obviously we have workarounds in which we can kind of do it, but it's still so resource heavy. So for example, we can have like holdout groups, so you can put like 5% of the audience on a certain platform on an old release version, and then the 95% get all the other updates we've done in the past year, and then you can tell the difference between the two as to like what impact that's had. But you still have to build everything and go through that whole release cycle, and so even like being able to, for example, release to 50% of the audience and then 50% not, the same thing. You still have to build it before you can release it. It's not the same as like doing a quick like experiment, getting some results back, but that wasn't a good idea, let's try it again or iterate on it. It's a lot harder. It's a lot harder to get that kind of scale, and it's something that I feel passionate that should be hopefully innovated for in the future. And maybe that's something that AI can like kind of help with as well.
Yeah, sort of getting some AI tested prototypes out there to test with. I know, the likes of Android, and they've got platforms where you can upload a build and you can get sort of a group of testers to access it, but that also, again, like you say, requires building it, and only for one specific platform. If then it's successful, you're rolling it out not just on Android, but all of your other devices as well. So you've still only been able to test it with a really small subset of your users, given that, you've got a wide range of platforms that need support.
And TV is where the majority of our viewing is. Like 70% plus is all on the TV, and that's just really frustrating that we can't get that audience and like experiment properly and like really understand like ideas that we have and like whether they are things we should pursue or not before we have to go ahead and build them all first. So yeah, it's a frustrating thing, but hopefully we can get somewhere in the future with it.
Yeah. What is one thing that you would absolutely love to build? I actually ask this when I'm interviewing
that's
people.
That's a really good question. What, on a specific, on Channel 4 application?
Or just like if you had unlimited budget and you wanted to just build something really cool, have you thought about it?
I haven't thought about that, to be honest. I still think that one of the biggest challenges that I even face as a user, and like if I talk to friends and stuff, is the whole content discovery piece. Mm-hmm. And I still think there's a lot that can be done, and obviously the likes of Netflix have the ability to do a lot more research, etc. But it's be interesting to see what we can do in that space to make content discovery a lot easier. And I'd be really keen to be able to have some more time and resource to be able to go away and research that and do ways in which we can improve that on the Channel 4 application. Because I know that we've like done researching stuff about like the moods people in, the times of day that it is, that if it's a weekend, etc., and like how you can like make the homepage change slightly dependent on that kind of activity, or is there just completely different ways in which you can like try it out? But yeah, it's a good question I have to take away. Is like, what would I ideally like to build? Like if I had unlimited resource.
Personalisation is such an interesting one because it's so much more than just the algorithm. Like people think that personalisation is just like, oh, this algorithm knows me. But like you say, it's about like product decisions that are driving personalisation, time of day, potential moods. One thing I would love to be able to do more or see more of is like peer-to-peer sharing. You see a lot of like personalisation and, this is my platform, but you don't see a lot of, what are your friends watching, or that sort of social aspect of it coming into TV. People obviously can share on TikTok and Instagram, or find something new to watch and share it with their friends, but you don't see those sort of things coming into your rails and your content rails and your TV apps. So I'd love to be able to like see if we can find ways to connect up accounts or create,
That'd be interesting to see, like if you're watching something, it's like this person's also watching it at the same time.
But then it might be like your dad is watching, then I want to see what my dad's watching.
Depends what your dad's taste in TV is like.
Yeah. All right, 10 years from now, where do you think TV will be? It's a long way away. We're talking about the future, but let's think far in the future.
What we talk about is 2035, right?
Oh my gosh, don't say it like that.
But yeah, I just think the streaming world is constantly changing. Like we've talked about, like YouTube and the rise of the social platforms coming onto TV devices as well. There's so much that can change, and there's so much possibility. It's really hard to be able to predict like where we'll be in 10 years' time. Like even as the Channel 4 application, what will that look like? Will it still be there in 10 years? We would have partnered with all the UK public service broadcasters and have just one app. I just don't know. Like there's so much that can change, and hopefully from like a technology perspective, there'll just be a lot more like feature-rich enhancements for users that that can benefit them more and make their viewing experience even cleaner than it is today. But yeah, as regards to the streaming industry as a whole, that's just a wild question. No idea what's going to happen in 10 years.
Yeah.
What about yourself?
I think it's going to be really content driven. We don't know where the content's going, what people are actually going to be watching, and it's content sort of getting, people's attention spans are getting shorter and shorter and shorter. So I feel like this short form content is going to almost take over in a way, but what does that make the lean back or the TV experience look like? So I don't know, this is just amusing, but I have no idea how it's going to look, but I think, yeah, content is always going to control the experience.
The content is the king, really. Like, people come to your platform for the content, right? And that's a really interesting piece about the future. The short form content is more popular, and even stuff like video podcasts, or like, for example, you see recently, like, I think Spotify have now agreed to put podcasts on Netflix, and it's
Wow.
Is that also where we should be going? We should be getting, not just partnering with other people, but also bringing different types of content to the platform as well, which is really interesting. Is that what users want or not? It's another like big research task that we have to do as product people. But
games, short form.
Yeah, games. That's a good point. Yeah, something that Netflix have dabbled in. But yeah, it's definitely something that's interesting. Like, have you seen anything from a sports perspective? Because that's obviously a very big content one. And you said you work for a sports broadcaster. Have you seen anything from like what they want to do in the future?
Well, I think the biggest thing about sports is you got your live matches, but also there's like key moments of the events. Like, people come in to not just experience the end-to-end match and watch it live, but be able to continuously engage with it afterwards. The interviews, the best moments, like all of that sort of that stuff that sits around it as well, and that drives also the TV experience. And what does the homepage look like on a match day? What does the homepage look like post-match? Those sorts of decisions as well driving that. But I think sports, there'll always be the live match, and that's going to always be central to the sports streaming experience, and is nailing that live experience, understanding where there's going to be great second screen experiences, or, as I said before, the ability to interact with data using your remote while you're watching the match. I think that'll live on.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for the chat. It's been great to learn from you and your experiences working with Channel 4.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. It's been a good discussion about like products and like TV and the device fragmentation and the future. There's been lots and lots of stuff that we talked about, and really enjoyed like learning it more from like the agency side and how that works compared to what we do at Channel 4. So it's been a really good conversation. Thanks for having me.
I feel like we could probably talk 4 hours
Yep.
more. So
We'll go have a coffee and some more.
Nice, thanks.
Thank you, Julia.
Cheers, thanks, Steve.